Welcome back, everybody. So glad you are tuned in to the Creativ Rise podcast this week because we are talking pricing myths, a little bit of true or false. Baby, what do we got? So we're going to be talking about a couple things that we wish we would have known are true earlier on in our careers, and some things we probably wish we knew were false.
Yes,
Things that we did. We shouldn't have bought into this philosophy around pricing. We should have questioned it.
Yeah.
I would have made a lot more money at a younger age in my career if I would have heard this podcast.
Absolutely.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
You would have as well.
Of
So
course.
if you're listening to the show today, so glad you're here. Hope you're having a great summer. It's like smoking hot where we are. We're kind of in the Sacramento area of California. Not actually in Sacramento, outside of Sacramento towards Tahoe, if you have any bearings on where that is, but it's really hot.
It's going to be like 109 degrees this week.
It's going to be 112
on
Saturday. 112, which if you're in Celsius and you need me to convert that for the rest of the world, that's about 45 degrees Celsius. So that's smoking hot. Anyways, we are doing everything we can to keep our AC bumping and that it doesn't go out. But we're having an awesome summer. Hope you guys are having a great summer. Glad you're tuned to the podcast. Glad your development, your personal development, your development as a business owner isn't getting put on pause for the summertime. I'm glad you still tune into the episodes. Glad you're still building yourself up and supporting yourself as a business owner so you can continue to grow your business in 2024.
Yeah.
Glad you're here.
And if you are also someone who's like, you know what, I'm not stopping in the summer on developing myself. I'm pumped. I'm actually amped to keep growing my business. We actually just came out with 2 fully free workshops for you that you can access literally right now.
Yeah.
Maybe after this episode.
Yeah, listen to this episode
Listen
first.
to this episode first. But 2 free workshops, one for the wedding space, one for the brand space. I recorded the one for the wedding space. It's the wedding pricing workshop, again, totally for free. It's when and how to raise your prices as a wedding photographer or videographer. I truly believe there are only 2 times you should ever even think about raising your prices when it comes to being in the wedding space.
Yeah.
It's the most safe, secure, and honestly fastest growing way to raise your prices. And I share that on the free workshop, so you can access that by going to either the show notes right here, we'll have it linked below, or you can go to creativrise.com/wedding pricing workshop. Again, you get it totally for free. It's like a 50 hour long minute training. It's super fun. I promise it'll be worth your time.
She killed it. It's a great workshop. So go enjoy that. And if you're in the brand space, well, come talk to me. Come hang out with me. I just built a free workshop for you called the Brand Pricing Workshop. And it is how to go from like $500 jobs to multiple 4-figure deals, like $5,000 jobs, even all the way up to $10,000, $15,000 jobs, teaching you what actually needs to change in your pricing strategy and in your value prop strategy as a content creator, as a filmmaker or photographer in the brand space. I'm going to teach you how to do that through my own personal experience in story. I'm going to show you examples of things that I shot for really cheap and things I shot for a lot of money and teach you what the difference was and how you can navigate that as well. So if you want to get that, if you want to get either of those free workshops, go to the link in the description of this podcast. You can see both of them. Or if you want the wedding one, go to creativrise.com/wedding pricing workshop. If you want the brand one, go to creativrise.com/brand pricing workshop. Would love for you to have those, again, completely free. Can't wait to hear what you think about them, because we put a lot of work into them so they would be helpful for you. So make them helpful. Take them, literally use them. Watch the whole thing, take notes, don't get distracted, put your phone away. Hopefully those are helpful. But let's dive into today's podcast. True or false? We're going to be talking about some things that, again, we wish we knew, and we're excited to present to you guys today. If you know some of these, amazing. If some of these are a shocker to you, even better. But let's take it up.
Play true and false. Okay, I'll do number 1. Okay, Joey. True or false? The best way to price yourself is by having an hourly rate and or a day rate.
Yeah.
And that is necessary to have for clients.
Yeah, true. If you want to make 20 grand a year, the best way to price yourself is on your time. Now, if you want to make more than 20 grand a year as a creative, as a photographer, filmmaker, you need to understand that your time is a finite resource. You only have so much of it in a day. Therefore, charge for your value, not your time. Charging for your time is a rat race to the bottom. Everyone's always going to compare you to whoever's cheaper. But when you start to learn how to actually take away why time matters when, you're pricing at a job and start to look at the value that's included, it's a way better way to price. It's a little bit more difficult and a little bit more nuanced. So it's a muscle you've got to build. But once you build that, that is where you start to unlock the ability to easily get 4-figure deals, 5-figure deals, and eventually maybe your company will start landing 6-figure deals, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, Another reason I actually really don't like hourly rates, day rates, even anything that charges with time is that I'm like, I'm actually a pretty efficient worker.
You're really efficient.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm not a perfectionist, but I'm an efficient worker that knows how to get good quality work
It's
done. And I
because you're
feel like
not a perfectionist. You're
I feel
so
like
quick.
I get penalized for that when I'm charging hourly, which is
Yeah.
why I actually hate it. It's like you're penalized for being efficient, which I
Yeah.
don't love.
Well, and it's an interesting relationship when you're charging hourly, right? Like, let's set a fake scenario here. I'm an hourly creative. Let's say I'm a photographer and I'm shooting a brand. Say I'm shooting t-shirts for a brand, and it's a new fall line they're dropping, or summer line. It's a fall line. I'm shooting it this summer, but it's coming out in the fall, and it actually creates a little bit of an interesting dynamic because I'm going, I want to work as many hours basically as possible on this so I can get paid as much as possible on this gig. Yet the brand owner is wanting the opposite. They're wanting me to work as little as possible while still creating the best output I can. So they have to pay me the most, smallest amount possible while still
Yeah.
getting the biggest amount of output out of me. And it creates this awkward dynamic versus both people being on the same page going, they're going to pay for a certain amount of value that they're really excited about. And I'm going to give everything I've got to deliver on that value. And here's what I'm charging for it. You mutually agree on that. And then there's no bad blood. There's no like, I could add another 5 hours on here if I do this. The brand owner's going, I hope he doesn't add on another 5 hours because I'm going to pay more. Like, charging for your time can create some awkward situations. And it's not a great thing because you're always running off estimates, and there's no worse thing than emailing a brand an invoice off an hourly job you just completed, and they respond to you going, hey, this is way more than we thought it was going to be. Why did it take you so long? And you're like, gosh, like, it's what it took me. I need to get paid. And they're going, well, we should have hired someone else would be faster. We've worked with people in the past that were faster, more efficient. It's like, gosh, like, they're just wanting the cheapest person. So if you feel like you are a creative who is stuck in constantly being hired because you are cheap, or they want you to be cheap every time someone hires you, stop charging for your time and start finding ways to assume what value you have and charge for the value inside of you that you're creating, your output, rather than just the time that you're putting in, your input.
Yeah.
So that is a huge lesson that I wish I would have learned earlier. I've been doing that for probably 8+ years now, but I still wish I would have learned that earlier because the first couple of years running my business as a young teenager, I was like, yeah, sweet, $20. Like, I remember getting a phone call from somebody. I didn't know who it was, but they knew me through a friend. And they said, hey, just heard about your name through a friend. I'm calling you. We own a wedding business, and we've got 2 weddings this weekend, and we need some people to go and shoot one wedding we can't be at. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I was like 14, right when I started my business. And they said, we can pay you $40 an hour. And at the time, I was working in the summers, actually doing filmmaking stuff at a camp. And I got paid $1,500 for the whole summer. I worked June, July, August. So I was not getting paid $40 an hour, So I was like, oh, this is great. Let me see if I can get some time off. That's awesome. So cool. And I showed up, and it was the craziest production. They were doing same day edits, a bunch of stuff. There's all these creatives there helping finish the deal. It's like, shoot the wedding. And I asked somebody, oh, do you do this a bunch? Like, yeah, it's a pretty good gig. We get paid $40 an hour, but these guys are making like 10 grand off this wedding. And I was like, what? Wait a second. How are these guys getting paid 10 grand? And I wasn't mad about it. Like, I wasn't like angry and angsty at them. But I was like, how are they getting paid 10 grand? And I'm going to walk away with like $250 from this. And I wasn't angry at all. I was actually stoked because I was like, wait, that's possible? What am I doing wrong here?
Yeah.
And then I started to really learn about how they're pricing for their value based on, rather than pricing on their time. So
Yeah.
it's more difficult. I'm not denying, Christy and I are not denying that it is more difficult and more nuanced to learn how to price for your value as a creative, as a photographer, filmmaker, than it is pricing for your time. Pricing for your time, half day rate, full day rate. That's the easy, clean cut way to do it. But you're costing yourself money. You're costing your business revenue when you price jobs that way. And you're also potentially creating some conflict with your relationship of whoever the client is. So
Yeah.
big fan of flat rate pricing based on value
Yeah.
and going after that.
That's great. You want to do the next one?
Yes. So, Christy,
Yes.
true or false? If someone does exactly what they do, restart. True or false? True or false? If someone does exactly what you do, Christy, but they do it for cheaper than you, does that mean that your business will get hurt, or you should have to lower your prices as well?
This is absolutely false unless you charge hourly. Unless you charge hourly, you look identical to every other person. then yes, maybe that would be the case because you are kind of acting as a commodity. And as Joey just brilliantly explained, basing off of the value you're providing, the solutions you're giving, that is where you can find growth in your business, where you're not being compared to Sally down the road. And there's a lot of people, especially in the wedding space, who believe this. They go, well, I don't live in California. Well, I don't live in some really wealthy New York state. I don't live in a big wedding booming market. Some of the highest priced wedding photographers I've ever seen live in these small, saturated little Midwest towns, and they come out of there doing some of the most high-end weddings you've ever seen. Now, what are they doing different? They're not doing everything everybody else is doing. They're focusing on two things. And this is where I really feel like if you are someone who's trying to differentiate yourself in the market, you want to be able to charge higher prices, even though everybody around you is charging lower prices. I think you need to focus on two things. One is focusing on the fact that you are selling a solution. You're selling an experience. You're selling not just your time, you're selling the transformation of what is going to happen to somebody when they hire you. When you focus on that, that is when people are willing to pay a premium. This is specifically true in the brand world. If you've got someone who's like, okay, let's say you are the person hiring somebody. You're the business owner and you're trying to grow your socials to sell more t-shirts. And you talk to two creatives in town. One creative is like, yeah, I can come for 6 hours and shoot your videos and it's going to be $50 an hour. Okay, cool. Then they talk to you and you say, oh, well, tell me more about how you're trying to grow and tell me what your metrics would be of what you're trying to aim for. Okay,
What are we
sweet,
using
sweet,
the
sweet.
content for?
Where are we using the content? All that kind of stuff. All right, so what I think that we should do to sell more of your stuff is I think we should create not only just your 5 videos that you're thinking of, I think we should do it actually every single month. That way you're refreshed on content and you can continue to grow, you can continue to scale, and maybe let's add in even some photos and let's do this and this so that you can grow. And if we do that, you are going to grow. And then the second person is more expensive. Who are they going to choose if they're actually wanting to grow? They're not going to choose the person that's like, well, it's $50 an hour. They're going to choose the person that showcased a solution and a transformation that they want, that they trust with authority. So I would say number one, focusing on the solution, focusing on the experience if you're in a wedding photography space, showcasing that. And then also secondly is honestly building a personal brand. People want to work with those that they know, like, and trust. If you can build that online, if you can not just put portfolio content, but you can actually have know, like, and trust type of content on your socials, on your website, they can actually connect with you as a person. That is also when people want to pay a premium for somebody because they want somebody specific. Someone else can copy your deliverables. Nobody else, as cheesy as this sounds, can copy you. So if you can make yourself an object of a part of the product, no one else can duplicate that. Only you can do that. So if you can have that, if you can mold those two things together, talk about the transformation, the solution, and then match it with being just a personable person that people want to work with and they know, like, and trust, then you don't need to worry about Sally down the street charging $100 for whatever. You just don't even need to worry about it because you're on totally different playing fields.
Yeah. So good.
So yeah, that is our second true false. Okay, Joey, the next one is, this one's one of my favorites. You need to have experience to charge a premium.
True or false?
True or false?
You need to have experience to charge a premium. That is false. And the reason why that is false is because we know a lot of people that have had a lot of experience and they still are not charging premiums. Why? It's because they're not confident in what they're actually doing. They're not confident in the solution. Christy said the word solution earlier in the podcast. A solution is really the value that is solving the problem of why someone would hire in the first spot. The solution might be, a bride is having the best day of her life and she doesn't have someone to capture it the way that she wants it to be captured so she can relive it for the rest of her life. If you can do that really, really well, it's a beautiful solution. In the brand world, someone's relaunching a new brand launching a new product, if they have no content for that launch, it's going to fall flat. No one's going to know about it. Therefore, if you can package a content solution for them that can get a ton of eyes on it, they're going to get a ton of orders. Solution, problem solved. That's a beautiful thing, right? So you do not need, this is the best part about solutions, you don't need to have a lot of experience to be good at giving a solution. Your solution just has to be good. Now, experience with a good solution is the cherry on top. If you can pair those two things together, it's beautiful, but I cannot tell you how many times over the course of my career, I have kind of put my neck out there, taken a risk on myself, going, I've never done this before, but I know what their problem is. I understand their problem. Therefore, I really understand what a really good solution is going to look like. And I'm going to place my confidence in that. And I'm going to go off that. And therefore, I'm going to charge a premium for it. Because if I can get them X results, I want a piece of that. And the X result's pretty big. So I'm going to get a decent paycheck off that. I'm able to charge a lot of money for something I've never done, but it's because I have a solid solution mapped out and planned that I'm going to execute on for that company. So great example would be things we've never done. We helped a company go to market earlier this year. Literally took a startup company from scratch, came with a product, nothing else, and we're like, hey, we need to build everything. And the world that I'm in right now, and Christy and I do this together, but it's mainly what my focus is outside of Creativ Rise is brand strategy, brand building. And so they came to us and said, hey, we need all these aspects of brand building. We need the website, we need the brand, we need the product brand, we need the product packaging brand, we need the socials, we need the content, the photo and video. We need everything for this massive launch with millions of dollars behind this thing funding it. Can you help us? And I have done all of those things throughout my career, but I've never done them packaged for one person and done all of them at the exact same time in this format. I could have looked at that and gone, I have no experience taking a private funded company that's got capital behind it, that's going to market with so many investors that if we do this wrong, they're all going to be really mad. I've never done it like that. Therefore, I'm not the guy, or I definitely can't charge a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
No, the opposite was true. I went, heck yeah, that's a huge problem. We're going to create a really good solution for you that's going to get an incredible outcome for you. And we're going to charge you a lot of money for it to make sure that we have the capacity to do it right so you get the results you want. And what happened? Yeah. We got paid a lot of money to do it. They got awesome results. They're rocket shipping right now, and it's a beautiful business. So your pricing is not a reflection of your experience. It's a reflection of the value you are giving a client. That is so important. So you have to have experience in order to price things high. False. You have to have a good solution that's actually going to solve a problem in order to put a premium price tag on something.
Yeah, and walk yourself through this. Like I've talked to so many wedding photographers. Specifically, I remember having a conversation with someone that came through our mastermind.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I just don't think, she was like charging really low. And we were like,
and she's so talented.
And she was really talented. And I was like, I really think you should be raising your prices. She goes, I can't raise my prices. I've only shot 40 weddings. And I was like, girl, like there are people charging $10,000 who've never even shot 40 weddings.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? So some of you guys are sitting here going, you know what? Like, I feel like I just need 5 more jobs to feel more confident. And what I usually do with people like that is I go, do you think that you could show up on the day and be on time? And they're like, yes. I was like, do you think you could give a great experience with the couple where they're going to have a ton of fun? You're going to be able to pose them, take great shots of them? Yes. Do you think you're going to be able to stay the whole time, be able to complete the reception, do a great job for them? Yes. Do you think you'll be able to edit amazing photos and deliver it? Yes. What's the problem? And they're like, you're right. And I'm like, yes, raise your prices. Like, come on. You don't need to shoot X amount more. If you know you can deliver the value, match the price. So that is what I got to say on that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next one, true or false? If 2 projects have the same deliverables, you should probably charge the same rate.
That is, in my opinion, false.
It's not your opinion. That is false. That's false.
You can do that if you want.
Yes, you can, but you don't
I'm
have
saying
to.
You do not have to. We talked to a ton of creatives, and they're like, we asked them like, okay, well, if you are, let's say, offering a brand campaign to somebody, and you've got a mom and pop shop selling ice cream down the road, and then you've got REI, are you going to charge the exact same amount to both? You could. However, the mom and pop shop is probably going to be much more just cut and dry, easy to shoot, low risk. And the REI shoot is probably going to be a ton more. It could be a ton more work. It could be not, but it's going to be so much more risk. And there's also going to be so much more leverage for them of how they use the content and what it's going to do for them. The content you're going to make the mom and pop shop hopefully is going to help them make an extra, maybe few $100, $1,000 that month. If you do something for a large company, like literally the ceiling is, there's no ceilings, there's no caps on that kind of stuff.
A great example of this is take the insurance industry, okay? We have
Everyone's favorite.
yeah, everyone's favorite industry. We have 2 cars in our driveway. One's in our driveway, one's in our garage right now, and we pay different amounts of insurance on those every single month. Now, why would that be? They're both cars. They both have 4 wheels.
And they both
They
pretty much
both take gas. Why would you have to pay different prices on them? Well, it's because there's more risk involved if I get in an accident in my truck versus if I get in an accident in a Tesla, which is our other car. There's more risk because they're
Tesla doesn't
worth
take gas.
there's worth yeah, that's true. They're worth different amounts of money. Therefore, the insurance companies are saying, well, yeah, it's still you're still asking us to do the same thing for you. Replace the car or fix the car. They both have 4 wheels. They both drive with a steering wheel. They're the same thing, yet there's more risk involved in one of them. That should be how you approach your pricing. So if you're in the same industry, you're doing the same amount of time, or even let's do a wedding example, okay, on this topic. If you are shooting 2 weddings in the same month, okay, and you're delivering the same amount of photos, 500 photos for each wedding, do you have to price those identically if one wedding is for somebody that the wedding is worth 500 grand and, it's super expensive wedding, and there's a lot at risk here because their family only gets together, a pretty wealthy family, and they're busy. They all own businesses. Their family only gets together like once every decade versus you're shooting another wedding that's more of just like a quick backyard elopement thing. Great, great people, but they're not putting as much money into the wedding. And that family's together all the time. They don't value maybe the idea of having that many pictures from their wedding as much as the family that never really gets to see each other. Again, it's the same thing happening. They're both getting married. You're delivering 500 photos for each of them. You have the opportunity here to potentially charge more to the couple that there's more risk involved if the wedding doesn't get shot. They're not going to have photos of their family getting together. Or the photos might not be and feel the way that they remember their day being. Like, that's an abstract example I'm coming up off the top of my head. But the idea is that you should be charging for the value you're providing and the risk that is being avoided. The same way insurance companies charge you for your cars. Again, they both have 4 wheels, they both have a steering wheel, and they both drive. They do the same thing, but insurance companies charge different amounts of money per car because they're worth different things. And more importantly, the risk of potential error and what they might have to pay is different. Therefore, it teaches us a lesson that our work is the same. We need to charge for the value we're providing and the risk we're helping a client avoid. And the risk is it's pleasure you're gaining that you might lose if something goes wrong. It's status you might be gaining that if something goes wrong, you might lose. Or it could be pain that you might be experiencing if something goes wrong that we are going to help that client avoid. So that works in the wedding industry, and that also works in the brand industry. And it is fundamental that you understand that. And again, it's a muscle. It's going to take a little while to really learn how that works and price your work that way. But that is why we have free pricing workshops for you. So again, reminder, if you skip the front part of this podcast, you didn't hear us talk about this, we just came out with 2 brand new pricing workshops. One is in the wedding space. It's called the Wedding Pricing Workshop, and you can get that at creativrise.com/wedding pricing workshop. It's going to teach you when and how to raise your prices as a wedding photographer. Christy killed it. You're going to want to watch it. It's got so much value packed in. And then I just did one in the brand world called the Brand Pricing Workshop, and it's teaching you how to go from $500 jobs to $5,000 jobs plus. Again, totally free workshop. Would love for you to get that. Go to creativrise.com/brand pricing workshop, or you can find all those links in the description of this podcast. Guys, hope you enjoyed this. If you did, share it. One thing we love to see, we love when you guys do this. So do this if you love this episode, is just take a screenshot of this episode on your phone or on your computer or wherever you're at, and post us on Instagram. Tag at Creativ Rise and tag us if you've got our personal Instagrams as well. We'd love to see it, but tag us, tag Creativ Rise. That way we know you're listening. We can connect with you on there. We can say thanks for listening to the show, and we can even maybe strike up a conversation about how you are going to structure some of these true and false things you've just learned into your business model so you can grow your business in 2024. Would love to see you do that.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, you guys. We can't wait to see you next week, and we'll see you then.
Signing off. Bye-bye.